Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
And welcome to the MudBox. I am your host, Pavi, and I'm here with my co-host, Trey. How are you doing, Trey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed.
That's awesome. I'm blessed too.
I'm
Hallelujah.
blessed. What you been up to? What's new? I know it's been a while since people have seen you.
I
So
know.
what you been up to?
What have I been up to? To be honest with you, I've been working a lot. I picked up a second job, so pretty much working all the time, working on 2 albums, doing the TikTok thing, doing a lot. So and exhausted, but it's okay. It's a good exhaustion. What about you?
Just working on it. Working on some stuff. I just hosted a festival.
I saw that
this past weekend, so that was exciting. It was a Caribbean festival. This weekend would have probably been Carnival in Trinidad and some islands. So we were able to celebrate virtually in our homes, and it was fun. It was really exciting.
Did you use your accent the whole time?
No, I'm not. I know I wasn't going to do that because I'm not that fluent in patois. So I want to make sure I'm careful when I say it, because a lot of Jamaican people on there, they're like, what the hell did that little girl just say? That's not, she's Jamaican and she sound like that. I didn't want to be disrespectful to my culture like that. So
I've been studying patois for the last few years.
What?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So I have a song called Dynamite, but in patois is Dynamite. It's Dandimite. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Okay, so I made a song called Dynamite, and when I wrote it, I wrote the whole song in patois. It is fire. But I did it's like 2016. I'll play it for you sometime.
Say a line right now.
I can't remember a line.
How can you not remember a line?
Because from 2016, I haven't played it in a long time. I'm sure if I played it and listened to it, I could sing it, but it's just been a while.
You're gonna have to play it sometime soon for me, because I need to hear.
I shall.
I need to hear this.
Yes, it's fire.
Okay. So I have a question for you. What would you do if right now the Lord blessed you with $60,000?
The first thing I would do is I would pay all my bills. The second thing is I have a good car, so I probably that's a bill, so I would pay off my car, and I probably would get a house. And then after that, probably try to figure out some investments or what I could do to make some money and make my money work for me.
Okay. So what if you got 1.5 million?
Same situation. I'm not a big shopper like other people. Like, I'm a big eater. I eat a lot of food. Okay. So most of my money goes to food. It doesn't go to like clothes or anything. Compared to other people, I'm not a big fashion brand person. So I don't care for Gucci, Louis, and that stuff being on me. I might get a belt or like the cologne or something like that. But I'm not like big on spending money on those things. I think you can look good in anything. My money more goes to like technology, like having a really good TV or having really good food. Like, I like to eat out all the time. I like to be served. So that's something that's most of where my finances go to now. That's like literally, if you open my Chase account and it breaks in a pie chart for you, 40% of my expenses is towards food. Okay. Yeah.
So now let's say you got that same 1.5 million, but now you are 19.
19? You know what's crazy? Same Trey.
Do you?
I've been very consistent.
Okay.
My mom used to get so mad at me growing up. She's like, why do you spend so much money on food and I cook for you at home? And I'm like, well, I want breakfast, lunch. I want everything. I was literally getting Starbucks every single day. I was getting food all the time. I just spend my money on, I like food. My money's always been going towards food. So if I had that money, I would probably get a chef.
Okay.
If I had 1 point, I'd probably give me a home chef.
Well, I'm glad that you are, I guess, frugal with your money in that aspect. But there are a lot of athletes actually out there who are blessed with these types of funds and go completely broke after they leave the NFL, or even live, beyond their means, if you think that's even possible for people within our tax bracket. So today we're talking about the financial pitfalls of Black athletes. And so what brought this up? So me and my boss, which he will actually be on later, we were just having a conversation. We were just, okay, so what really started it? So I have a car. paid off. You know, it's nice. It's not the best. It's
Your
not
car's
fabulous.
nice.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, you know, I want a BMW. I want a BMW. I don't know why. I'm just like, you know what? I want luxury. I want to, you know, I want something nice. Don't do that. Okay. I want something nice, you know, and that's what I said I want. And I was telling him about it. And he was just like, stick with the car you have. It's paid off. But I'm like, no, but I want the luxury. I want the luxury. He's like, yeah, well, get a house first then. You know, put your money in something that can, you know,
an asset. Put
it in an asset. And eventually we started talking about athletes. And, you know, we mentioned, you know, some athletes that have gone broke, or athletes have a tendency of being flashy. And that's just a culture. And so I just, you know, I said, you know what, this is interesting. Let me do some more research on it. And so I was able to watch a documentary that is called Broke. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's by 30 for 30 or 30 something like that, that ESPN had created. And so as I'm watching it, it talked about a lot of these financial pitfalls these gentlemen get into. And it was kind of heartbreaking, because a lot of the guys, like, you can see on their face how broken they were, because they were just at the top of the game. They're saying, you know, I was the top offensive lineman who got this contract, or defensive lineman, or whatever it is. And, you know, just discussing the things that they were spending their money on. And it's not even only just spending the money, but the people they had to deal with, that they were dealing with when they started to get this, they literally did not know what to do. So before I get into it, I want to bring in our guest, Mr. Mike Harris, who is obviously you've seen before if you watch our other episode about taxes. He's a tax professional, and he's also an NFL dad. Mr. Harris, welcome to the show again.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me again. This should be extremely entertaining, and it should be extremely informative for a lot of people that's in the realm of sports. So it should be extremely interesting, because there's a lot of pitfalls. Of course, we identified our 4 pitfalls, but then we'll get into that a little later, and I'll let you kind of let everybody know what the 4 is. But this should be extremely informative for a lot of people. This is something that we could probably talk about for days and still be at the same, still be where we're at. But it should be extremely interesting and extremely informative, not only for NFL athletes, but for anybody in the financial realm.
Absolutely. So I want to start. So I when I was watching the show, wait, is he still talking? I couldn't hear. No. Okay. Oh, sorry. So I'm doing the research in the beginning of the show. It said about 78% of NFL players are broke 3 years after retirement. 60% of NBA players are broke after 5 years after retirement. That is ridiculous. I mean, these guys are getting $1 million contracts, and you're going broke after 3 years. That's something I wouldn't expect. Because, like, think about it. Like you were saying, you know, no, I'm paying my bills. I'm doing this. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them, when they got this money, they thought the same thing. I'm just going to do this. But that didn't happen. And so, as I actually was earlier talking to Mike about this, he was mentioning 4 things that a lot of these athletes, which cause them to, you know, get into these financial troubles. So I'm going to list them, and we're pretty much going to go through each one of them. One of them is family.
Yep. I was going to say that.
The next one was women.
Yep.
And a third one is taxes.
Yeah.
Another one that most people probably wouldn't think of is financial advisors.
Yeah.
Now, I have to give Mr. Harris some credit, because when he first listed these to me, I was like, first of all, why are you putting women in there? We ain't got nothing to do with that. What do we do with that? What do we have to do? But after watching the documentary, I have to give him props and say, you know what? You're right. He's absolutely right, because a lot of these men got mixed up with the wrong female and lost some good grip of money because of it. But first, I want to talk about the family. So, Mr. Harris, you being an NFL dad, what's something that you talk to your son about in regards to when it comes to family and them asking for money now that he is in the NFL?
Well, I
So
mean, one of the first things, I mean, everybody wants to approach you when you have money. I don't care if you in the NFL, I don't care if you hit the lottery. Um, as soon as they know that you have money, and that's the bad thing about it is everybody that wasn't this, they was your cousin, but they wasn't your cousin. You know how you have real cousins where you see them all the time and y'all talk, and then you have the cousins that you don't see. Then sporadically they start coming up. So anybody that wasn't in the circle prior to, we still family, but as far as just asking for money, you know what I'm saying, that concept have to be kind of, kind of be downplayed because a lot of people will come up with all type of excuses. And the good thing about it is I actually played football. So long story short, found one of my boys' first round draft pick, one of his family members, of course, everybody problems is your problems. Okay, this person had cancer, supposedly, quote unquote, and for some odd reason they need to borrow the money, and then next thing you know, miraculously they didn't necessarily have ended up not having cancer for some odd reason. But it's just people prey on your because especially when you're young, you that young, you really don't, you know, the no syndrome ain't in your vocabulary at that time. So what happens is a lot of people pray because these are young athletes. So when I talk to him, I just say, hey, whomever wasn't there prior to, don't necessarily just, if they're your cousin, they're still your cousin. You still family, but as far as the finances come, you broke. Like, you know what I'm saying? You live in California. So I always tell them, hey, we all broke. I always have a pet peeve also where if they ask for something, give them 25% and just tell them, hey, most definitely get the other 75% somewhere else. So needless to say, it's just, family is family regardless. And if they didn't have it prior to you having it, why should you give it to them?
Right. So as I was watching the documentary and a few other posts talking about athletes losing their money, it felt like almost like a lot of them felt like they had an obligation to take care of the parents. A lot of them said, as soon as I got my money, I bought my mom a house. I bought my dad a truck. I started buying things for my family, kind of like, to say a thank you to them. But one of the gentlemen, I think he was an NBA player. I think he's now in finance. It's something his mother told him was, you are only responsible for yourself. You're not responsible for anyone else. And he felt as though that's what kind of helped him keep his money because he learned the power of no. And a lot of these gentlemen, so, you're 21 years old, you were making $86 a week. Now you went from $86 a week to having $1.5 million just put in a check in your hand. You were like, I'm about to go ham. Like, I can get whatever I want. I have so much. I have more than enough to supply all my needs and get some more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, I guess for me, I don't know. I never had that amount of money,
mm-hmm.
but I do, even on my small scale, I do have a problem with saying no. I don't know about you, Trey. I have a problem saying no. So I can definitely understand that portion of it when it comes to those guys feeling like I have to buy my family member something. I got to give back to them. I can't just let them poor person just sit there and like struggle. I have to do something.
No, you don't.
I don't. I really don't.
You don't. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I was actually blessed and fortunate to have parents. The parents that I did have. My mom's a very giving person, but my dad is a giving person, but he's super frugal.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get it from.
Right. He's
a person that, if it don't make sense, he's not going to entertain it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very, like, you know what I'm saying? He's a very savvy, smart financial guy. My father makes really good money working for Pfizer. Okay. 6-digit guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he may get a check, and we used to be young asking him for, hey, Dad, can we get this? I'm broke, son. Just like that. We knew he had money. Son, I'm broke. I don't got no money for you. I don't got no money. I'm gonna be honest with you. And that type of mindset for me is the same way. Like, I grew up with money. So now at this point, even if I were to get it again, I'm not super excited about like having cash in my pocket to me, if a family member asks me, I'm like, well, what do you need it for? Let's have a real conversation. I'm that type of cousin. Like, what do you need it for? Let's have a real conversation. And everyone knows in my family that because of how my parents raised me, I'm gonna be 100 with you. Like, yo, I can't get that to you, bro.
Right.
Like, it was different. One of my cousins had like a situation with a jail situation, helped him out with that. That's different, and that was real. But other people, if it's something light, nah, I'm gonna say no.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna learn. I'm definitely gonna learn the power of no. But I want to say one thing from watching and doing the research on this. One thing that is, I know we're talking about Black athletes, but a lot of times, a lot of these athletes who are going broke, it's not necessarily a race thing. Of course, majority of them are Black that are going broke because majority of the people playing these sports are Black. So one thing is that it was a social, where they come from socially, economically, is a big, huge factor in why a lot of them are going broke because they're not taught this financial responsibility in the home.
Or at school.
Yeah. Absolutely not. They're not being taught at school, even in colleges. So it's like, a lot of these guys, they know, the colleges know that these kids some of these kids are going to go to a point where they are going to make this money, but they don't set them up to say, hey, understand that money is nice and all, but it's a possibility you won't have it all the time.
It's crazy you said that about even if they go to college, because I was watching an interview of Steven Adams. He plays for the Pelicans. And he said that college was trash. He said you go to college and then they give you the easiest classes, like easiest classes to go to, because they know you're here to play. They give you full right to play basketball. So they give you classes, they better check on your work. You know what I'm saying? You just go in, you go out. It's nothing serious. You knew you had a one and done or a 2-year athlete, that one of those classes was a financial literacy class that they should take. You know that you have a 5-star athlete. They're going to the league. Give them a financial class that they can take in college before they even go to the next level. And they don't do that. They, like you said, they give them the basic classes, algebra 1 that you take in high school, and then get those A's, get those easy grades that say eligible so you can play, and then move on to the league.
Baby them.
That is so true.
So, Mike, you were a student athlete back in the day. Did they give you any type of financial education before, or do you know of anyone that got financial education before they made it to the NFL or going in that direction?
No, I will tell you this, and this I have to laugh what they just said because that is so true. They are in the business to keep you eligible and playing. So most of the counselors have a curriculum that normally they're going to put you into, nothing necessarily into the financial realm, but I was a little unique. I took business administration and I took resource economics, but even in those classes, you're learning about finances, but you ain't really learning about finances. You're learning about businesses, certain things in businesses. Truly, they need like a finance class, like something that's reality. Like, most classes, we all attended college. They don't necessarily teach you about reality of what's going on in the world and how to manage money and credit reports. That's not even mentioned in college. Some of the core things that are out here in the real world is not even taught at a college level. So far as from my perspective, what Trey said is absolutely correct. They're going to keep you into the PE, something that's going to necessarily keep you eligible for that time span while you're there.
Wow.
So but they don't necessarily teach you anything about finances, you know what I'm saying? But then again, that's not they're there to win football games. Let's get things straight. People don't understand this. Yeah, they might, like look like this, but they're there to win football games. They're not there to teach you financial counseling. They're not there to, to baby you. They're there for you to play football. It's literally a job. Once you get out of the high school realm, it becomes a job, even in college. That's why, practically your entire day is pretty much planned for you from top to bottom. But I mean, it's a job. It's a high intensity job. I mean, it's millions and millions. It's $1 billion industry. Anytime you have that type of money, it becomes a job. It's professional. I mean, most of these college athletes, especially on D1 level, it's professional. It's truly a professional at this point because it's billions and billions of dollars. I mean, the coaches right now making millions and 5 or 6. I mean, I think the highest paid coach making $8 million, just as much as the NFL coach at the college level. So of course he's not here to teach you anything about anything financial. His ability is to try to get you to the position to make it to the NFL. They're not necessarily worried about the finances once you get there.
Wow. So I want to skip into our next one. So we did family. Now I want to talk about taxes. So I was just watching a sit down with a few athletes. I'm not sure what the gentleman name was. I think Portis. Clip. Yeah, okay. So he mentioned that he got a $1.5 million signing bonus. He went to get the check and saw like what, 400,000, I think he said, was gone. He was like, what is this?
He said 500. He had $850,000.
Right. So he was like, what is this? They're like, oh, taxes. Then he said his agent called him and was like, hey, you got to give me my portion. You know, we got to pay for all that stuff. Because when they were recruiting him, you know, they were, you know, giving him all these beautiful gifts, taking him on trips and everything like that. Said another round came and he called him again and was like, oh, you need to pay taxes. And I think after the signing bonus, after he paid all his others, he only had like $558,000. That's insane. Out of 1.5, wow. That's what, about $1 million that you pretty much just in taxes. So my question to you is, what is the biggest mistake when it comes to taxes that athletes are doing? Should they be doing to help alleviate some of these taxes?
To me, one of the biggest things for myself, I mean, I can't speak upon nobody else. I think they most definitely should form some type of corporation for themselves, because after tax season is pretty much, they have all these things that they do that they could write off. Like if I'm living in a whole nother area just to go training, I mean, I'm a business at this point. So be able to write some of this stuff off and be able to obtain some of the money back through their tax return is always imperative when I'm looking at an athlete and what they're doing, because they're W-2 employees. And anytime you're a W-2 employee, you're taxed at the level that the government stimulates for you to get taxed at. You know, unfortunately for them, they actually have to get taxed in every state they go to. So if they're in California, at that point, they have to get California tax. If they're in New York, they're going to get the state tax there. And some places even have an entertainment tax. And then they still have to pay the NFLPA. So, I mean, I was just looking at Steph, and we're going to take a big athlete. Let's go to Stephen Curry. Out of $35 million he makes a year, he only brings home $13 million. So that's like over half of his check. So you got to think, California state taxes, I think it's like 15-16%. Plus you're paying the federal taxes of like 39%. That's over half of your check. That's over half of your check in taxes just alone. So for me, I would tell them to form LLC, form some type of corporation, make yourself a corporation at that point. Even all your endorsements, run it through your corporation. Don't never be a W-2. Only time you should be a W-2 is when you're doing it, or when you're actually in the NFL. Other than that, you're a corporation, and act as if you are a corporation. And most definitely, for me, utilize those opportunities far as taxes, to have that opportunity tax-wise when you have this corporation, being able to take down some of your tax liability, because a lot of things, like if I'm going to be in a club and they're promoting myself, that means it's a business write-off. You can write off a lot of things that you do as a business, but a lot of times they don't necessarily tell you that, because at the end of the day, if they took out like a lot of money on him, or 400, 500,000, if he was able to get back 150,000 after they took that money back, wouldn't that be extremely beneficial to him? So for me, they don't necessarily tell you about forming the LLC or anything like that, or creating a corporation, making yourself a corporation. So that's just some of the things that is not going to be kind of relate to them because everything is us football for them. And everybody that's actually working for them, they're working for themselves also. So they're not working for just the best interest. For me, it would be the best interest of the athlete. Of course, make yourself a corporation. Again, I take my son because he's just starting to. I told him that year one, and it's year 3, and he's finally actually seeing, like, hell, yo, I could have got back $80,000. That's a lot of money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I could buy the car that you really want to buy with cash. You could got it through your income tax. Oh. So, you know, and it's being able to put yourself, like, you know, I mean, a lot of people, Donald Trump have good tax accountants. So you got to understand, he's paying probably less than most Americans. You know, in fact, probably more than 90% of the Americans. It's just because he has people to analyze the tax situation and what he's going through.
Yeah. So, question, do you know if the NFL gives their players or the new players or current players any type of financial education?
I mean, they have a rookie, right? They have a rookie thing where they actually bring all the rookies in and let them know about the pitfalls of becoming an athlete. But I mean, you know, at some point, athletes were our own worst enemies because we know it's a competitive sport. So again, not to say that they're not being informative. It's just that the people that are informing them are the same people that's actually investing in them, like are doing their investments and stuff like that. And yet they should take a conservative. I always tell most people that's in NFL, I would tell most of those NFL players, most investors are there to make you money. You're in the NFL, you already have money. So me and you had this conversation. I always went back to Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch they didn't consider him the most brightest player, but just like he said, I didn't know nothing about no finances and all this other stuff. So I just kept all my checks in the bank. And that was like one of the most smart, invigorating things because at the end of his career, he said he had $24 million in the bank. So at that point, nobody could take nothing from him. So investors are looking to obtain that type of money for you. If you are to have that money, why would you go and invest?
Right. Right.
Absolutely. So, but the NFL, they do have some things where they kind of, you know, keep the athletes informed in some form of fashion. But I don't think that's what they need. They need a little bit more thorough conversations about finances because just like you see on that 30, it's so easy to lose millions of dollars because you're not necessarily looking at where the money's going at because you're just spending it because it's there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not doing a good job if 78% of them are are going broke after 3 years and after retirement.
Yeah, because they go through their seasons living a certain lifestyle that when you transition out, they don't know how to transition out that lifestyle. That same money isn't coming in that was coming in those few years. So when they go out, they don't have that transition of how do I spend money now that I leave. They kind of just fizzle out with whatever they have left.
Right.
So it's sad, but you know.
It's hella sad. I mean, there's no reason for you to be going out to the club. I mean, I heard a story recently about is it Leon Stursey? Am I saying the name right? That he would go to a club like First Fridays and would spend about $10,000 every time on this new suit, new outfit. You go into a club, mind you, he owned the club. I don't know if he was even doing like a sponsorship to it, or you going out there and you're spending this much to show off. It's trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up in the Joneses is a big, huge problem in the NFL because everybody trying to outshine everybody. Look what I got. Look what you got. Well, let me go get something else. Let me go get something more expensive. That right there is dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just one of those situations where their financial advisor is there for them during, like I said, there's a transition. Their financial advisor is there for them during the season, and what they usually do, they're there for them like for The financial advisor just wants to make sure that they still get their cut. So as long as I get my cut, and this is the money that you spend, they're not going to worry about it after they give you your portion to spend. As long as I got my cut and I'm good month-to-month basis, however, quarterly, however they do it. As long as I got my cut and I tell you whatever you spend, if you go over, oops, that's at least I got my cut. And then when you leave, it's kind of this parted ways.
Right.
You're still not paying for that financial advisor, not worried about you. They're on to the next guy who's playing season to season to season,
right,
and moving on. When they should be looking for a financial advisor, a lifetime financial advisor, someone you can be close with, talk to about your personal endeavors and everything. Because a financial advisor should be someone that's close, not someone who's just all about money.
Well, which is one of our next pitfalls is a financial advisor. Actually was on the 30 for 30 was Brett Kushner. I think that's how you say his name. He was a quarterback. He played football. Okay. So it goes to mention your whole idea with keeping somebody close. His advisor was his dad. He mentioned how he knew his dad when he got his money was paying off his father, was paying off his own mortgage, paying his bills. He was such an advisor that his team actually cut his dad a deal for $1 million. This man ended up filing for bankruptcy years later. So having people that close, financial advisor, obviously.
I don't mean family. I mean like someone else. Like for instance, during COVID, I got my health, life, and annuity license and insurance. One of the things that we're taught is build a relationship with the client so that they feel like they have someone to talk to for a lifetime, not someone that you're just going to deal with for the moment. So I'm saying when you look for someone who's going to invest in you and your insurance and your finances for the long haul, not just for a temporary season. That's what I meant by someone that's close, not like a family member yet.
All right.
Yeah.
So Mr. Harris, what would you like? It's pretty much to everything what we were talked about when it comes to financial advisors. So I don't know if there's anything you would like to add when it comes to these athletes and picking the right financial advisor.
I mean, I think when you're picking that financial advisor, it's hard to pick anybody when you making the money, that type of money. And I mean, I always like up and coming people, you know what I'm saying? You take a person like Trey, he just trying to build his thing up. So of course he's not trying to sabotage your money in any form or fashion. So he's gonna try to put it in the most safest things possible. It's funny because and I reflect upon a lot of people. Master P said the guy in the suit is the one that's getting all the time. He's worse than the guy that's in the hood that's actually robbing it, because they rob you for millions. So if you're looking for a financial advisor, I would say I would be leery of anybody over my money at this point, because you're just getting a piece of money, and a financial advisor is there to make sure you gain money. So I would be leery of anybody at that point as far as a financial advisor. Again, they're in such a good position financially at a young age. See, that's the thing about it. They're so young and they getting a boost as far as what I'm concerned. They're getting a boost into their financial realm, you know what I'm saying, that could help them for the rest of their lives. But I mean, I would be cautious on any financial advisor. Whatever is conservative, that's the approach that I would take, because money in the bank is not going to make you no money, you know what I'm saying? So I would most definitely take a conservative approach as far as bonds and some of the other stuff. I wouldn't do nothing high risk on stock market, because you can. I think with Trey, some of the annuities, they do have a low risk portfolio that they can put your assets in that still can make you money. I wouldn't do anything high risk until I get out of the NFL and see which direction I want to utilize as far as putting my money into the right places.
Yeah, I agree. Like we're taught to actually teach people the difference between what life insurance really is. A lot of people think life insurance is death insurance, and we try to know life insurance is life insurance. You put money in life insurance, and that will make money over time. For instance, if you have a kid and your kid's born and you put money into a life insurance for them, because what banks do, they take your money when you put your money in the bank, they'll put it into life insurance, and they'll make money off your money while you're making this small percentage.
Right.
If you put that money on, let's say he has kids, you're an NFL player, you have kids, and you give your kid a life insurance policy, which is what white people do with money. They give life insurance. That's how they get cut taxes and save money and got a lot of life insurance. You give your kid life insurance, you put money in that life insurance. By the time they're in college and 18, they got $1 million they can pull out and go do their thing with. So a lot of times what we're taught is try to get people into life insurance at a young age, as young as you can get them. So by the time they get older, they got millions, and then you reinvest those millions into more life insurance. That's how people build money off of money, letting the money work for themselves. So that's something I would.
And just to piggyback off of Trey.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Just to piggyback off of Trey. The thing I like about life insurance and certain annuities, you can actually borrow off of that without the government double taxation. A lot of times people go to the 401k, and if it ain't a raw 401k, that's the only one that you can borrow off of. The other 401k, me and you just had the discussion about the 401k and how the government takes 10%, and then if you hit a little hard spot in your life, then they take another 10% of your taxes. So it's double taxation on a regular 401k, and the life insurance policy is actually a better solution, and the annuities is a better solution than a 401k traditional. But a raw 401k is actually pretty good for the athletes also. But just to piggyback off of Trey, again, that life insurance annuity is a whole lot better because it gives you many more avenues tax wise, because you have to look at the tax ramifications on a lot of this stuff. It gives you more avenues tax wise to kind of be more beneficial to yourself also, especially for an athlete. They most definitely need life insurance because they're a play away from something tragically happening.
Right. Because their contracts aren't guaranteed. Like, it's so quickly they get cut and that's it. That lifestyle's gone. That dream is gone, can get cut so quickly. So question for you, like, do you think it is the NFL's responsibility to financially educate these men before, during, and after they get out of the NFL?
They're a business. Most businesses, if I hired you and I gave you $1 million, it's not my responsibility to tell you what to do with your money. And that's just the cold hard facts. It's a business. They're not there to teach you financial responsibility. You have to take it upon yourself to create those avenues and learn what you need to learn about money. So they can tell you about it. And again, I'm pretty sure they have tutorials and they tell people about it, but it's a business. They're not there. They're there to win games. They're not there to teach you financial responsibility, what to do with the money that they're giving you. And that's facts.
It's cold, No reason I ask is it was another, I don't know the gentleman's another NFL player who was saying that he feels as though it is the NFL's responsibility to teach these young men, because you're getting them so young. You're getting them right out of college, or you're getting them that they don't even know how to write checks. Some of them don't know how to write checks. They don't know how to open bank accounts. A lot of them don't come from any money, family. Their family they come from is living paycheck to paycheck. So he's like, you have a responsibility because they're going broke so quickly, and so much of them. You should have responsibility to teach these men how to keep their money.
Yeah, I feel like in that regards, I feel like he said that the NFL isn't liable for that, but I do feel like these kids, when they go to college, which they're student athletes, that's the opportunity that I feel like colleges should be more liable for educating in that situation, because student athlete, you preach it on commercials and stuff, even though you don't mean it, but you preach on commercials. The least you can do is give them a financial class before they go over to the NFL and do financial literacy and stuff like that in college, because like I said, it's a business. If you go work at Target, they give you a check, you go, they're not going to tell you how to spend your check. It is what it is. But if you're in school and you have a teacher and you have professors, their job is to educate you and to develop you as a person and develop your mind. So I feel like that's the time where they should be getting that type of knowledge before the NFL. Now, do I feel like the NCAA has a responsibility to add that as a curriculum? Yes, I do. Because if you have such a high number like that, and I know they know that, if you know that information, you should be trying to switch something up in the NCAA, and that should be regulated throughout all college boards. Right. So that, to me, that's more of an NCAA issue than a NFL, NBA, MLB issue.
I think it almost needs to be like a general education requirement for everybody. Because when you go into college, you have those general education classes that you have to take. There needs to be a class where like everyone needs to take, so they have a better understanding of having financial responsibility.
Yeah, I'm just learning about mortgages.
Right.
I didn't learn anything about mortgages.
Whole grown adult, and I didn't even know grown adults who've gotten homes and like I lost it, because like if I only knew what I do now, I'd still have my home.
Yeah.
But again, we're learning now. We're learning now. So our last one that we talked about is women.
Come through, Kevin Samuels.
Is women. You obviously all of us have heard it. Tiger Woods had to pay his ex $100 million. Michael Jordan had to pay his wife close to $100 million. There was another tennis player, last name I think is Norman. He had to pay his wife $105 million after their divorce. Like, women, we are expensive.
Sign that prenup.
But prenup doesn't last for too long. And I think in certain states, Kennedy Cameron was mentioned to me earlier, like certain prenups, like after a certain time, I think.
What's that length?
10 years. 10 years. Right.
Oh, we're gonna sign another one.
Except for like New York, Florida, and like other states, it's still you can go for longer, but you can always adjust your prenup after a certain amount of years.
Right.
But California, 10 years.
Oh, 10 years. 10 years. See, that's my thing. Like, me and my brothers were talking about prenups, and they were like, "Would you make your girl prenup?" I'm like, "Yes," because they're like, "But you love her." I said, "But she loves me too." So if the money's not an issue, sign the prenup.
Right.
That's my thing. My thing is, if it's really about love, let's take money completely out of it. Sign the prenup.
Problem is, prenup if you develop a lifestyle, you still have to pay alimony no matter what. Prenup only saves your business though.
Oh, only business?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Whatever's entitled into your business, but
it's like Amazon. He will save that 50% had he signed that prenup.
Yeah, I mean, he probably still give her the money because she has some lead to it.
Oh, okay, for sure.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess for a wife, but I don't know about a girlfriend. I mean, again, when Leon Searcy was mentioning, he mentioned a story how him and his girlfriend had a bank account, about $1 million in there. Went down to Jamaica, came back. He noticed like $400,000 was gone. He's like, I know damn well I didn't spend all this money in Jamaica. Talked to her about it. She said, oh, well, we got in an argument. I thought, we were going to break up. So I went and took the money and put it in my account. Took this man's money that he earned, that he worked for, and put it in her account.
Did he report it?
I'm not sure. He just mentioned that story. But I mean, like, boom, like my gosh. I mean, even in the documentary, even talked about this, I guess, a website before. It's not the baller alert that we know on Instagram, but the baller alert where they would send out text messages, because this is before like big internet age. So if you wanted to know about an athlete, you had to go out to the club and really find who he was. Now you just Google, baby. You just need first and last name. You find out information. You find out how much you make. I mean, they announce it all the time.
Yeah.
But back then, it wasn't as popular. Now, they would send out a text and say, hey, there's an athlete going to be in the club. There's an athlete going to be here. So come out. So all the girls start coming in swarms, putting on their pretty outfit, putting on their prettiest, looking their prettiest to come get this man. And what else do you think they're trying to do? I'm trying to have a baby with you.
Right. 18 years.
Right. So, Mr. Mike Harris, can you please explain, or what is your take on that? How dangerous are these women to these athletes?
The women are just being women. At the same time, they're a lot of athletes, I don't know the percentile, child support. We forgot to mention the child support, because a lot of the athletes, They have children, even when they're in college, prior to them even getting married to anyone. So you look at Terrell Owens. He had 4 baby moms. I think he was paying maybe a little less. He was paying them, and then he was paying them over $15,000 a month. That's 150,000. No, maybe a little bit more than that a year. And then once he stopped making the money, that those payments he still was obligated for those payments because he didn't necessarily know, hey, I need to go back to court immediately. So the women plays everything, but everybody pays a fact that, when you're an athlete, you're a target, because especially nowadays, they can pretty much Google you. Next thing you know, oh man, this guy, this guy Trey, he just signed for $100 million. Of course, he's a target at that point. Anybody anybody that they can Google and they can identify how much money they make. Like you take a Jeff Benson, they didn't know what the type of money he made until he actually came out with it. Google been making money for years. He's been rich for probably over 20 years at this point. It's just now that they put it out there in the forefront. Now it's different. An athlete is totally different. Their money is put out there for public display immediately. Once they sign, it's right there on the ticker. And, you go Google, you'll find any income that they have. So next thing you know, you're target not for just a woman, but for anybody that's seeking to come up off of your back. So you just have to look at that perspective of everything, because at the end of the day, they're athletes, and again, people are looking to come up off of their success and their hard work. So for me, there's women out there, but we have to take some of the blame. We're in a club popping bottles, whatever club they may be at, there's women there. And we just have to identify what the problems that's right there in front of us. We're men and they're women, and women are problematic also, just because athletes are targets. It is what it is. Athletes going to be targets because they make a lot of money. And when you make a lot of money and people know you make a lot of money, you're a target, whether it's a woman or anybody else.
I don't blame women at all.
What?
I don't blame women at all.
For going after these men? Nope.
They're doing their job. Pretty rich. Kevin Samuel said that. Pretty rich. Women don't have to have money or whatever to bring men in. They've got to be pretty rich. Use it pretty. My thing is, men, you need to be responsible. I'm holding you accountable. I'm not holding you don't have to spend the money if you don't want to. You don't got to take it back to the hotel if you don't want to. You don't got to do nothing you don't want to. You got the money. So that means you make the rules. And so I'm not going to blame women. They doing what they're supposed to do. Get the bag.
I guess.
I
agree. That's not how I am, but for those people that mindset, of course.
Yeah, they get in the bag, and they, simped, and they took an L, and they got to be responsible for that L. Everything, when you become an adult, and you making money, and you paying bills, everything that you do is on you. It's not your mommy, your daddy, nobody else. You make your decision, so they gotta do better than that. You can't let a pretty face get you. They don't get me.
Anyways, so yes, we define some of these pitfalls. What you just
so anyways, with these pitfalls.
Yes, with the pitfalls. Obviously we added some more, the child support, the taxes, and the financial advisors you mentioned. I just want to throw this out there real quick. You know what the average salary was for an NFL player in 1970? I think 70s.
Probably like 50,000.
No, 14,500.
14,000.
That was the average salary.
But you know what? That makes sense though. That's with sports too. Like back in the day, Michael Jordan wasn't making the money that people are making now. Like it's by popularity, supply and demand. A lot of people. It's funny. A lot of people they complain about athletes making so much money, but you're the reason they got the money in the pocket in the first place. You're turning on TNT, you're turning on ESPN, you're watching sports. You've made the sport famous. They deserve the money because they're putting on entertainment. Back in the day, NFL, they didn't have that much. It wasn't widespread like that. NFL wasn't the sport of America back then. So it makes sense that they wouldn't make that much and make less than the common person.
I was as I'm watching, do my research. Another thing that I noticed was a big problem for these athletes were investments. They lost a lot of money doing investments. It said that at least out of the investments that they were approached, because they're getting pros, like Mike said, they're targets. So everybody's like, okay, they got money, so they can invest in this idea and this idea and this product and this product. So they were saying that one out of all these investments that they get, they sound great, these products and everything like that. 1 out of 30 actually work out for them. 1 out of 30.
Yeah, I think if they're gonna invest, he'll know way more than me. This is just me thinking my financial mindset. If you're gonna have that money invest, either you're gonna invest in your own idea, or you're gonna invest in something that's already up. So like how Bitcoin is, or something like that. You're gonna invest in something that's already stable, and go with the market and fluctuate, take out, and sell based on that. I'm not gonna. If someone comes with me with an idea, and I have no idea what that's gonna turn out with, like, there's only one Facebook, there's only one Twitter, one Instagram. Like those things happen once in a while. They're not. Big stuff isn't coming all the time. TikTok is the newest thing. I don't know what the next thing after that is, but it's going to be a while before that comes up.
Right.
But for me, if I'm going to invest, I'm investing in myself. I'm going to come up with an idea to make more money on the side on top of what I'm doing right now. A lot what LeBron James does when he's investing in multiple different avenues that are income for him on the side of what he does right now with basketball. That's what I'm thinking of as far as investing. I want to invest in other people's stuff.
Mr. Harris, do you believe that you should just only invest in yourself and not invest in anyone else?
I think that an athlete, they should pretty much invest in what they're doing at that time. I always say that they're not pretty much ready for investments because they're so young and they haven't been out here. Like LeBron James, he accumulated a team around him. So what happens is his team pretty much go about investing in him. And he, of course, he had a childhood friend that he's relied upon to help him do a lot of investment as far as the film and some of the other stuff that he's invested in. But it took him a time and get around people that know more than you. Like, don't go invest. Like, I seen a video with Floyd Mayweather, and everybody know Floyd probably, I ain't sitting here and say he's the most brightest guy. He's a boxer, but he surrounded himself. He asked people that was around him, like, what it is that made you successful. And, I have some money, just don't be my friend. What it is that made you successful. And then once he found out what it is, because, you can a form of communication. Once you find out what somebody else's recipe was and they kind of pretty much show you what to do, then you can kind of go about and invest. But my biggest thing is don't invest in nothing that you don't really know. Like myself, I don't know Bitcoin, so I don't invest in Bitcoin. I know real estate. I invest in real estate. It's a more conservative approach, but at the same time, a lot of my friends, they make money from Bitcoin. And then if I played stock market when the stock market crashed. I made good money in the stock market because I kind of knew that once it crashed, I knew it was going to eventually have to come up because there's a lot of money invested for a lot of people. But I mean, I wouldn't necessarily invest in anything unless I know about it or unless I have somebody that's already doing or having that type of success in it. Again, if it's a real estate transaction, go around people that know real estate. Do not just jump into the transaction, because you need to see and figure out what they're doing to be successful. And they're your friend, they'll tell you what they're doing to be successful, and that's the good thing about investment. I've been doing it for a long time. So I pretty much kind of analyze what I'm doing. At that point in their life is consisted of football, because at the end of the day, football brings them the type of money that they need. So far as me telling them to invest, I would tell them to be extremely cautious on investing in anything, not even in yourself, because yourself is the investment as far as making sure you make that football team. Now, the second thing I would tell them, if you're interested in investing, take your time. There's no need, there's no pressure. Just because you got $1 million in the bank, there's no pressure to go out and invest $1 million somewhere. Take your time. Make sure you dot and cross your I's 3 times before you even spend your money. And then after you dot your I's 3 times, go dot them another 3 times. Because you just to lose that type of money, $1 million, when you could go buy a house and invest in that house and pay cash for it and pay off all your cars, put $65,000 up in annuity for your child on a college fund. That's the type of money that you wasting sometimes when the guy go back and do all these investments, because they don't necessarily know what the investment is and how it is. But if they were to put that money in hardcore assets where they can get them and obtain them, you say that annuity, once it matures, that mature date, you can't really touch that money. You can borrow against it, but you can't necessarily touch the money. So it's allowing you to be financially disciplined. Another thing, Shaquille O'Neal, now I take examples. He put his money into annuities. He get paid annuity probably every year because what he did was he put his money up in annuities. So they'll pay him every year so he wouldn't make those type of financial mistakes. That's just being very cautious with the money, because just like you get money, you can lose money. And as you can see, after doing all your research, you see how easy it is to lose a lot of money.
Absolutely. It makes me think what the Bible verse where it says, don't store up your treasures here on earth, because tomorrow is not promised. You'll get that, like you said, you get that money today, be gone tomorrow. So many of those guys just had this mindset, I'm going to stay in the NFL forever, or I know I'm going to be there for 10 years. And some of them don't even make it for the first year because if you get hurt or they just decide to cut you because you're not a person. You are a asset. You are my moneymaker. Once you can't make me any money, I no longer need you because there's someone coming up that'll be just as good as you, right, and even better, that I can replace you with. It's sad. I mean, from watching it, just watching a lot of these guys, like you, especially McCants, just hearing his story, he just looks so broken. To know he had all this money, had an opportunity to, live well, do better, and he lost it all. It's sad.
Soiled it. Soiled it.
So, yeah, pretty much. Got into drugs, got into the legal problems. But we're going to close this out because we ran a lot over time. But I want to give Mike you an opportunity if you want to say something to any of the athletes that may actually be watching. What is something you want to leave with them today or in our audience?
Oh man, I will say this right here: leave your money in the bank. Go ahead and bank as much money as you can possibly can, and when you get out of the NFL and you have access to the type of money that you have access to, then you can go out and invest. But at this point in your life, do what you like doing, and that's actually playing football or basketball or baseball, and enjoy the fruits of your labor, because everybody is out for your money. So just enjoy the fruits of your labor, because you're putting your life on the line every day. And that's what I would kind of tell the athletes right now, because you are the entity that everybody's looking at to come up off of. So you have to be extremely conservative, and that money does not last forever unless you have it there for your access. Don't have it there for everybody to access. You put in the hard work, enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the MudBox. We appreciate your insights. So,
how?
You know what? Whatever. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, if you are in the Orlando area and you're interested in starting your own podcast, please contact us at www.mudboxentertainment.com, or you can contact us on our website or on our Instagram, which is at MudBox Entertainment. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay clean and think dirty. Have a great night.